Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope that all of you are doing great. So today I'm doing my fall wrap up, and actually funny story, I completely forgot about the fall season. I've been reading quite a lot recently, and I was like, I'm gonna have so many books to talk about in my winter wrap up, but then I was like, I haven't done my fall wrap up. So here we are. Now I'm also adding my summer wrap up. Like, I'm combining them because I did film a summer wrap up, and so if you have seen that, then you can just obviously I will have timestamps, so you obviously don't have to rewatch that. But I messed up with the editing and it really bothers me, and so I just decided to combine my summer and my fall wrap-ups. That's why this video is kind of late, so don't mind my hair. It is really, she's fried. She's looking a little crazy. Okay, also, I'm sorry for any background noise. My boyfriend is playing video games, and also it is kind of windy, and so like branches keep hitting in the window, and it's, you know. But anyway, so I have quite a few books to talk about actually, so we're just gonna get straight into it. Okay, so the first book I'm gonna talk about, I do not have with me physically. I only have 6 books physically because all the other ones are at my mom's house. So I only have 6 books here. Okay, so I'm gonna be doing like some mic brushing, I guess. So the first book is that I read was The Adventure of Amina Al-Sirafi, and I really wish I had it because it's a Fairy Loot special edition, so it's gorgeous, but I don't. So this is a fantasy, and it follows our main character Amina, who is a retired pirate, and she lives in like a secluded area with her family. I think it's somewhere in India or like somewhere in the Middle East, I don't know. And one day she sees this boat come towards their area, and she's kind of like, what the frick, because no one really visits and stuff, so she's like on edge, right? So she gets confronted by this old lady, and she's like, listen, my granddaughter was kidnapped, I need you to go get her. And Amina is like, no, because 1, I'm retired, and 2, I'm with my family, you know, I'm with my daughter. But then she's like, I will give you a lot of money. And Amina was like, okay, I will do it. But also, not only is it going to be good for her family, but also, you know, Amina misses the thrill, she misses the water, she misses her whole life, right? So she ends up doing it. And I rated it 4 stars. I really did enjoy it. I will be reading the sequel as well. And what I really liked about it is the fact that Amina is a Muslim, and I think this is the first time I've ever read a book where the main character, or just any character, has a real life religion and not one that's like made up in like a book, like a fantasy made up whatever. And so what I liked about that is Amina, like, she's probably one of my all-time favorite new characters. I loved her, and she was so like open-minded, and this book is also very I would say LGBTQ rights, trans rights, and it was great. I love Amina. She's also like really tall, which I also loved. This book was great. It has some like found family kind of. It was funny. It was great. I enjoyed it, and I like the culture. So yeah. Next, I read Daughter of No Worlds, and I listened to it on Audible, and then I also listened to the sequel, Children of Fallen Gods. So I actually DNF'd the sequel. It was just very boring, so I can't really get into the sequel, but I had the same problem with the sequel that I did the first book. So once again, this is a fantasy, I would say YA, and I listened to it while I was at work, and there was like a chunk where I wasn't paying attention, so I'm not really sure what happened there, but I can kind of tell based off of what happened after when I actually paid attention. So essentially this follows our main character Tisana, who is a slave, and she like performs like, I guess, like magic tricks in front of men mostly, so she can do like butterfly magic. The magic system kind of confused me, but whatever. And one day she gets like a lot of money from one customer, and so she goes to her master and is like, I have the money to buy my freedom. But he's like, no, even though he like told her that like a specific amount to buy her freedom. So stuff happens and she ends up escaping, okay? And that's when I wasn't paying attention. So she ends up meeting this woman who is in a society type thing called the Order, and I'm not really sure what it is. But it's like a magic society, I guess. And it has like a magic school, not like an actual like school building, but like the people in the Order will like train kids with their magic and stuff, right? And because Tisana hasn't had any training whatsoever, this woman places her with this guy called Max, who used to be like a magic trainer, and he was like retired. But the other woman is like, I need you to do this for me, and he's like, okay. So the two of them start training, and this book was fine. I rated 3 stars. It was the problem I had, and this is also the problem I had with the sequel, is that like nothing really happens. Like when the two of them start training, that's basically all that happened. Them training, it was more like character driven. That was gross, sorry. It was more so like character driven. There was another plot that happened. I guess it's like a pretty big plot, but it wasn't, nothing much happened. It focuses mostly on their relationship and their I just said that their relationship and like them going out and whatever. That's really all that happened. And so in the second book, I felt was very similar. No, not really much action, and so I DNF'd the sequel. Sorry. So yeah. Next, I read Satan's Affair. This is a prequel to Hunting Adeline, but you do not have to read Satan's Affair. The author is actually writing a separate duology, I think, with this character. So it follows Sibby, who is in the Haunting Adeline duology. And so Satan's Affair follows her life, and you get more of, like, you kind of get to see more of her childhood and what happened there. And it's very sad, so trigger warning, just like with Haunting Adeline. But as I said, the author said herself that you do not have to read Satan's Affair because Sybil is getting her own duology. So I liked it. It was fine. I rated it 3 stars. Maybe I should say like what it's about. So yeah, as I said, it follows like her background more, but basically she works at this carnival, but like she doesn't actually work there. She like she kills them along with her henchmen, which are basically these guys that she works with. And so it is spicy, and there's a scene where she does the thing with all of them. So yeah. So next I read Once Upon a Broken Heart and the sequel, The Ballad of Never After. I have not read the third book yet. I actually did pre-order it, but it never arrived, and I can't find it on my Amazon order list. So I'm probably gonna have to rebuy it. Anyway, so this is once again a YA fantasy. All of them are basically, all the books are fantasy except 2 of them. Anyway, so it takes place in the same universe as Caraval, which I have read, and I did not love that series. I did like the first book, but the other 2 was just very mid to me, and I kind of felt the same way with this series. So it follows our main character Evangeline, who seeks out the Prince of Hearts, who is a fate. And I think in Caraval you get more world building on the fates, but the fates are basically these, I think they're demigods, and they can you can make deals with them. And so she goes to the Prince of Hearts, and she's she wants to make a deal with him because essentially the love of her life is marrying someone else, and she thinks that he's under a curse. So she asks him for a deal. Yeah, and Ava reminded me of Tella, who was from the Caraval series, and I didn't love Tella, and so Ava was the same. I didn't care for her. I did like the other character, her love interest, if you will, who is also from Caraval, so if you know, you know. I did like him, just as I liked him in Caraval. I do think that Stephanie Garber is a really good writer. I really do. I find that she writes very, fantastical Alice in Wonderland kind of universe, but it's just not really, I think the characters are, I don't know, it's just not really for me, I guess. I will be reading, if Stephanie Garber comes out with a new book, a new series, I might read it. Anyway, next, now we can finally tap on some books. I read Red, White, and Royal Blue. This is a contemporary romance, and I did see the movie before, actually, and there's a lot of stuff missing in the movie. The main, one of the characters, he has a sister, an older sister, and she plays a big role in the book, but in the movie he doesn't even have a sister. Anyway, so this follows 2 characters, not me forgetting their names, Alex and Henry. And Alex is the son of the President of the United States, and Henry is a prince of Wales, I think. And they have, I wouldn't really call this enemies to lovers, in my humble opinion. More so dislike, I guess, but not even dislike. But they do have a little bit of some issues, I guess, in the beginning. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I rated it 4 stars. It was cute. I think it was way longer than it had to be. This book was long as hell. It took me a while to finish it. It did not have to be as long as it was, but it was cute. I typically do not rate contemporaries 4 stars. The most they get is 3 or 2 stars. Or I would say non-fantasy books. But this one was cute. I liked it. I liked their relationship. It was great. What can I say? I think I'm just a sucker for non-straight romance books. It is, I would say, say it is kind of spicy, but like it's not that graphic. Also, I really like the cover. Don't look at that. I prefer short nail book tapping, or just in general short nail tapping. I think it sounds the best. Okay, so next, so this is a book I had to read for school before I dropped out, and I don't remember the English title, so it is in Danish, and this is also like a really old copy. I wanted a physical copy so I could like make notes and stuff. I didn't expect it to be this old. It's from 1942. So this is a H.C. Andersen memoir, and I didn't even finish it. I'm like maybe 60-70% through. I don't know what to rate this book, honestly. I don't remember. I think I rated 2 stars in Goodreads. Sometimes I come across books that are just unrateable. I don't know. Because it wasn't good or bad. Like, I don't know. It's just me reading about someone's life. I don't know. So that's what this is about. It's just about his life, how he became a writer, and actually at first he actually pursued theater, and basically realized that wasn't for him, but that wasn't necessarily out of choice. And then he became a writer, and yeah, I don't know what else to say about it, honestly. He focuses a lot on the negative reviews, which I do understand, but yeah, he focused a lot on that. And I do know that he also meets Charles Dickens, which is pretty cool. But yeah, this book is old as hell. It's like during the World War II, which is kind of crazy. Also, I got a little bit of avocado in my sushi mukbang. I had this book as like I think I put my mic on it and I accidentally got some soy sauce and some avocado on it. Do I care? Not really. Next, I read a YA fantasy, We Hunt the Flame, and this book has been on my TBR for like 2 years, and I finally got to it. And I also do have the sequel, which I don't have here with me. It's at my mom's house, but I will be reading that eventually. So just like with The Adventure of Amina Al-Sirafi, this has kind of the same culture. It has kind of Arab scenery, and that's what I really liked about it. So this follows kind of, I guess, 2 main characters, Safira and Nasir, and both of them are kind of living opposite lives. So Safira, she lives in this like small, cold village, and she's like a hunter, and she goes into these like woods, these cursed woods, which reminded me a lot of For the Wolf, which is another duology I read that I have talked about, but that one also has the same plot of like a cursed woods that's like spreading towards their kingdom, and that's what this one also has. But Safira, she's able to go into the woods she has a very loving dad, or had, I would say. She had a very loving dad, but he passed away. And then we have the other character, Nasir, who is a prince, and he had a very loving mom who he lost as well. And so he lives a more privileged life compared to her. And essentially, both of them get put on the same quest. His was a little bit different, but that's how they meet. Yeah. I don't remember what I rated this book actually. I think I rated 3 stars or 3.5. It was good. It wasn't bad or anything. I liked the writing. I liked the culture, as I said. And the cover is just gorgeous. Like, it's so pretty. But I wasn't like immersed in it. The burp. I will say though, so this is YA, but there were moments between some characters where I was like, wow, that is not giving YA. Like, there were definitely moments that got my belly fluttering. I do have one complaint though, I would say, as far as I can remember, that I thought was kind of stupid, and I can't really say what it is because it's a spoiler, but something happens to one of the characters, something quite bad, and I found that they like move on from it pretty fast. Especially, yeah, I can't get into it as a spoiler, but I found that was kind of annoying. But yeah, it was great. It was fine. It was decent. I think it makes really good sounds. So next I read another fantasy, but I think it has more so supernatural elements, and to me it gives more sci-fi. So I read a duology. I heard that there may or may not be a third book, but if there's going to be a third book, it's not going to be until in 2 years. So I read Vicious and the sequel Vengeful. I really like the cover. Also, this annoys me so much. Look at the spine. It's not, they look different. Anyway, so how do I even explain this book? So it's about a world in which there are some people that have supernatural abilities, but the only way to acquire these abilities is if you have died in under very specific conditions, like under traumatic conditions, physically and mentally. And so it follows our 2 main characters. I will say there are quite a lot of characters in this duology. Especially the sequel has 3 new characters. There are, you do read about, where you do there are POVs with almost all of the characters, so you do kind of get a glimpse into all of their brains and their thoughts and stuff. But in my opinion, I would say that the main characters, because that's is Victor and Eli. Okay, and Victor and Eli they went to college, they went to university together, and they were also conditions, you can have supernatural abilities. And it goes on from there. So I rated both books 4 stars. Sorry, they look like the nail looks kind of weird. I did enjoy these actually quite a while. I did enjoy these quite a bit. The second book is like really freaking long though. I felt like it didn't have to be this long. I think it's like 600 pages or something. I don't know. Yeah, the writing was really good, and also I will say that the characters are in this duology are very morally gray, except like 2 of them. But I guess they're also kind of morally gray. I mean, everyone is morally gray to an extent, right? But also, I would say especially Victor and Eli are kind of, I would say they're sociopaths, I would say, and so their actions are kind of questionable, and just like the way they think and stuff. Yeah, so the second book, the thing that I did like the new characters in the second book. The only thing is that I adore Victor. Like, I love this man so much, and this book was very limited with his chapters, and that's the only thing that I didn't love. But other than that, it was great. I also, yeah, not really much I can say without spoiling too much. But I really do want to read more of her books. V.E. Schwab. I do want to read her on the book, The Secret. What's it called? Oh, sorry, it's called The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Is that what it's called? I think so. I do want to read that one. And A Darker Shade of Magic. So yeah. Okay, so now we have the last book I have physically, like the last physical book. The Poppy War. Also, here are my tabs, can you see? So I would say from like here, this is like kind of the happy moments, and then it goes downhill when you get past that. Okay, so this follows our main character, Rin, who is a peasant, and she lives with her abusive foster family, mostly her aunt. And one day, this matchmaker comes to their house because Rin is to be married away, but the person that she's supposed to be married away to is like really old. Keep in mind that Rin is like 14, and so Rin is like absolutely not. So she ends up like making the effort into getting to this like elite military school. So she goes to her teacher and she's like, please give me homework so I can like get in. And he's kind of like, no, like it takes a lot to get in. But she's like, no, this is my only way. Either I get into this school or I will be married away. So for like 2 years she like does hardcore homework. Like she has like burn marks all over her arms so she doesn't fall asleep. And so she ends up getting in, obviously. And yeah. Also, this book is inspired by a real life like war that happens. I believe it was during World War II, and it was called I don't remember, but I don't remember. But so I think some stuff that happens in here is inspired by would say specifically chapter 21, I think, is really bad, like really bad, and I was so shocked. And if that actually happened in real life, that's absolutely crazy. It makes me really sad. So yeah, this book focuses a lot on war, which is what the elite military school is basically about, is to prepare them for war. And yeah, I had a lot of emotions reading this book. Here's the thing, this is what I'm talking about, like, it was like happy. I mean, Rin is never doing very well, but this book was really funny. Like, there were times where I like actually laughed, giggled, but it also made me angry and really sad, and like, it has it all. So I rated it 4 stars. And it does not have romance, I would say. I think the other books might have a little bit of romance. I know that there is like attraction between 2 characters, between like Rin and one other character, but it doesn't focus on romance. So the next book I read was actually, I listened to it on Audible, and it's a series, and it's called The Lachlan Feuds. And the first book is called Scarlett Princess. It took me months to finish it. I am currently listening to the sequel, but I don't know if I'm gonna DNF. So it follows our main character. I do not remember her name. I will say it is technically a fantasy, but like, it doesn't really have any fantasy elements, at least not in the first book. So it follows our main character, don't remember her name, and she's a princess, and she is actually in jail at like a different castle. She's in jail for stealing vodka. And basically throughout the book, it focuses more so, it's also very much character driven, more so than like a plot. Sorry, that lighting is kind of weird right now. I don't know why. Anyway, what was I saying? I forgot what I was talking about. Yeah, it's more so character driven than plot driven. And throughout the book, like, the other lords, I guess, are basically just wondering whether or not they should kill her. And it lasted way too long. Like, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. It was fine. I rated it 2 stars. It was just boring. It does have romance. It is YA. Yeah, I don't know really know what to say about it. The main character also reminds me a lot of the main character from Brave. I also forgot her name. Merida. She reminds me of her. Okay. Now we have 4 books left. So the next book I read was another fantasy, and this is actually an indie book, a self-publishing book. So I read A Crown of Cursed Love, and this was actually written by a book talker that I do follow. Her name is Jade, and she's absolutely gorgeous, and I just love her. She does a lot of Bryce Quinlan like cosplays, who is from Crescent City. And so she came out with her own book. So just like with the last book, it is a fantasy, but it does not focus very much on the fantasy element. So it follows our main character, Lana, who works at this like cafe with her best friend and her creepy boss, and her mom is alcoholic and she has a younger sister, and so she has to essentially bring in the money, okay? And she starts having these like weird nightmares where she like sees, I don't know, stuff happens in her nightmares, and that's like as fantasy it kind of gets. It's basically just her nightmares. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. This book was not great. It does have romance. It does have some spice. I didn't really love the dialogue. I find that every time she would talk to like her best friend, the conversation would always start with him asking her if she's okay. Like every time he would be like, "Are you okay?" And then they would talk. Like I find that that's the only dialogue they ever had, was just him babying her essentially. And I find that some of the stuff that was being said were kind of contradictory. Sometimes like she would like, I think there was like one line where Lana described herself as having like a wall up and like not really letting people in and stuff, but like this girl cried all the time in front of her bestie, and he again saw right through her and was like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" Like that's literally the only thing that happened, was him asking her if she's okay. And also I found that she was like, basically she has like two love interests essentially, and her best friend and one other guy. And I found that she was like such an asshole because like Lana knew that her best friend, I forgot his name, Satan, was that his name? I don't remember, but she knew that he was like head over heels in love with her. Like she knew that this man was in love with her, and still she was like, "Do you want to go out with me and this other guy that she's seeing?" Like, girl. And he was like upset with her, and she was like, "I can tell he's upset, but I don't really know why." Like, girl, you know that this man was like in love with you, and she doesn't owe him anything. But I just feel like it's a little, but also then again, he's a grown man, he can say no. But I just, yeah, it was kind of boring. It's also really long. There is a bit of a plot twist though at the end, which I liked it, you know, it was fine. Yeah. So I feel bad, but I did rate it 2 stars. It does have a Greek mythology. It is a Greek mythology retelling, like Hades retelling. Will I read the sequel? I don't know. Probably. Honestly, I probably will. Next, I read... Actually, I don't remember which book I read first. Let's talk about this book first. So I read, at DNF'd it, God of Malice. This is a dark romance, and it was very much hyped up on TikTok. And so as I read it, and as I said at DNF'd it, it was absolutely horrendous. The writing was awful. I didn't like any of the characters, especially the main character. Like, she was just so... She had no personality whatsoever, and it was just not good. It was not good at all, and I had to DNF it. It also just starts really wild. So there's that. And then next, I read another dark romance. I read The Never King. This is a Peter Pan stars. But it was really bad. So it's about our main character who gets taken to the Neverland or whatever it's called, and and she ends up like, it's just pure spice, which I am not personally into, just pure spice and like nothing else. And basically all of them end up, like, she ends up doing the thing with basically all of them. And which, here's the thing, and also I found that they, like, I would say it kind of has found family as well, but I found that they got attached to her way too fast, and it like made no sense. But this is a series, and I will not be finishing it because it was just so bad. I don't trust book talk whatsoever anymore. Like, I didn't trust it at all for a while, but now I don't trust it whatsoever. Like, especially the dark romance side of TikTok, because what the frick was that? It was just so bad. It was genuinely so horrendous. Actually, I might have rated it 1 star, actually. I think I actually rated it 1 star, which is the first book I rated 1 star. Okay, and then the last book I read was If We Were Villains, which is I think it's called Dark Academia. So this follows, it's a murder mystery, and it follows our main character. I don't remember his name, but essentially he went to prison for a murder, okay? And he may or may not have actually done the thing. So it has like a flashback present thing where he talked, like when he gets out, he talks to this officer about it, of like basically everything leading up to the murder and what happened and stuff. And I did enjoy this. I think I rated 3.5, or maybe even I rated 4 stars. I did like it. It's one of my friends' like all-time favorite books. It is basically the main character along with some other characters. It's like a group of friends, like it's a group of best friends, and they all went to university together, and they were doing Shakespeare theater. I feel like this explanation is all over the place, but they did Shakespeare theater, okay? So if you like Shakespeare, you might enjoy this. And there's like a bit of a foreshadowing when it comes to the characters they play and stuff. And yeah. It was like a good book though. The writing was great. It has romance, sort of. Yeah. I feel like that was like a really bad explanation. Like, I've definitely given bad explanation to books, but I feel like that was really bad. So yeah, that is my summer and fall reads. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, and yeah, here's some sirens. I'm gonna go before it gets too loud, so I will see you guys